The Indiana Fever just signed one of the WNBA's top free agents, and you guys, this changes everything.
The Indiana Fever just took their fast break to another level. With Natasha Howard teaming up with Caitlin Clark, no team can keep up. It's like a cheat code in basketball.
The Indiana Fever just pulled one of the biggest moves yet in free agency. It was just announced this morning that the three-time WNBA champion Natasha Howard will sign with the Indiana Fever as a free agent.
What makes this so dangerous is that Howard's ability to run the floor at an elite level is something you just can't teach. While NaLyssa Smith was moving in slow motion, Howard will be finishing plays before the defense can even set up. Add in Clark's pinpoint passing, and teams will have to pick their poison. Either give up an easy layup or leave Kelsey Mitchell open for three. Defenses simply have no good options anymore.
The former Defensive Player of the Year and two-time All-Star returns to the franchise that drafted her, bolstering the Fever's front court and bringing veteran experience.
Remember when the Fever's fast break looked promising but still fell off? That's because they had a Ferrari engine with bicycle wheels. Caitlin Clark, the best outlet passer in the league, was throwing perfect passes down the court, but there was one big problem. NaLyssa Smith just couldn't keep up, wasting all that passing brilliance.
Things in basketball that you can't teach, and the ability to run the floor, score in the fast break, that's something that is not, again, that's not like a tangible thing. The ability to run hard, I'll say, is pretty much an intangible thing, and that's what Natasha Howard has.
You know what was happening? Clark would grab a rebound, turn, and launch a perfect pass down court, but Smith was moving like she had concrete in her shoes. By the time she got to where the pass landed, defenders had already recovered. What should have been easy transition buckets turned into contested shots or, even worse, wasted possessions.
When we look at the Indiana Fever's offense, we have to look at what are the strong points of it, what are some of the weak points, and what are some of the potential drawbacks. And in the half court, I don't think they're going to be the greatest offense team in the world.
Watch these clips from last season, and you'll see the frustration. Smith's movements were so stiff. She'd take extra, unnecessary dribbles and move at half speed when cutting to the basket. It was like watching someone learn to drive a stick shift, jerky movements, and hesitation. The Fever's transition couldn't outrun her defender.
Natasha Howard in the half court. I don't think she's a terrible half court player. Do not think she's this unbelievable half court player. But the Indiana Fever offense is best when they run.
It wasn't just the eye test. The numbers backed it up too. Despite having Caitlin Clark, arguably the best transition passer in women's basketball history, the Fever were only middle of the pack in fast break points per game. That's like having a sports car, but never getting out of second gear.
Best when teams are able to run. It is best when, like, they're able to get up and down when they're getting...
What made this even more frustrating was that Clark's passes were absolutely perfect. She'd thread the needle with pinpoint accuracy, putting the ball right where Smith needed it. But Smith just couldn't capitalize. She'd catch the ball, slow down, gather herself, take extra dribbles, and by then, boom, the defense had already recovered.
The big difference between her and NaLyssa Smith is she just does everything faster. Like, that's a move I've seen NaLyssa Smith make 20 times. NaLyssa Smith just does it so slow that it's a contest. Like, a lot of what NaLyssa Smith did was extremely slow.
Smith's lack of natural floor running ability was the biggest roadblock in the Fever's transition game. And here's the thing, you can teach footwork, shooting form, and defensive positioning, but the instinct to sprint hard and finish on the move, that's either in your DNA or it isn't.
Look at how she can run in transition, whereas NaLyssa Smith slowed the ball up. Just look at that. Like, that's the play where you're like, okay. This is the play where I'm like, okay, this is where Natasha Howard is going to be huge.
The Fever's front office clearly saw the problem. They knew they had a generational talent in Clark who could create a deadly transition game, but they were missing the right piece. They needed someone who could actually run, someone who wouldn't waste those perfect outlet passes, someone who could turn defensive stops into automatic points before the other team even crossed half court.
The finish isn't the craziest part because the person Natasha Howard's replacing, NaLyssa Smith, could have made that finish. Like, she, in fairness to her, like, NaLyssa Smith could finish that.
Now, imagine replacing Smith with someone who can sprint the floor like their life depends on it. Someone who catches on the move and finishes in one smooth motion, turning maybe opportunities into guaranteed points. That's the difference between a good team and a championship contender.
That's what I think a big reason why Alyssa Smith maybe had so much hype coming into WNBA, because she was very good at making tough buckets.
That leap from a good team to a championship contender just happened when Indiana signed Natasha Howard. What makes this so scary for the rest of the WNBA isn't just that Howard can run. It's that, unlike Smith, she doesn't need extra dribbles or gathering steps to finish. When Howard catches on the move, defenders aren't just beaten. They're completely erased from the play.
Really been rumors or reports about what the Indiana Fever were doing, but obviously they were working hard behind the scenes because they picked up one of the WNBA's top free agents.
Ever wondered why they call Natasha Howard the Flash? It's not just a catchy nickname, it's a warning. Howard doesn't just move fast, she accelerates with purpose, creating angles and finding lanes that didn't even exist before. While other teams are still jogging back after a defensive stop, Howard is already finishing at the rim. The Fever can now score before opposing defenses even cross half court.
You guys can see here, she takes it to the basket with a nice little shimmy shake, turnaround jumper, skip pass to the corner, and hits the three.
This changes everything about how teams have to defend Indiana. Before Howard arrived, defenders could afford to hang back, knowing they had time to recover. That safety net is gone now. Opponents have to sprint back the second they put up a shot, or risk giving up easy points. And you see what that does? It creates a ripple effect, stretching the defense and opening up the floor for the entire offense.
Three-point shooter necessarily, but she can hit open shots. And then as you can see here, she is running the court, which is something that the Indiana Fever have said that they wanted to, and it was a nice tip back.
Let me show you what makes Howard so special in transition. When she catches a pass on the break, there's no hesitation, no awkward gathering before going up. She catches and finishes in one smooth motion, often without even needing a dribble. And she's not limited to one side either. Howard can catch and finish with either hand, making her nearly impossible to predict or stop when she's at full speed.
These few plays, it seems like she will fit in with the Indiana Fever offense. So one thing that the Fever want to do is they want to run. They want to make the game faster. And that is something that they are going to need with whatever post player they pick up, or with the post players that they already have. They're going to need them to run the floor.
Think about what this means for the Fever's defensive identity. Now, every single stop isn't just a change of possession, it's basically guaranteed points. That block? Points are coming the other way. That steal? Automatic bucket. That defensive rebound? You might as well add 2 points to Indiana's score right then and there.
Which opens up the floor for the rest of her team. She also has good footwork and is able to get in there and crash the boards and help Aaliyah Boston to secure those rebounds.
What's happening in Indiana isn't just a roster upgrade, it's a complete transformation. Howard turns maybes into definites. The plays where Smith might have been caught from behind, Howard is already hanging on the rim before the defender even realizes what happened. The Fever aren't just better in transition, they've unlocked basketball's ultimate cheat code.
What she's doing, she is building a team around her, and a lot of these pieces that she is bringing in, the team that she is keeping around her at the Indiana Fever, are people that she has already worked with or already coached.
And here's the scary part. We haven't even talked about what happens when defenses actually try to stop Howard. The moment they commit defenders to prevent her from getting easy buckets, that's when the rest of Indiana's offense really opens up.
Years back when she played in Indiana, and Coach Stephanie White was there as a coach, so she is familiar with her game. I'm sure that the two have stayed in touch over the years. She knows what Natasha Howard brings to the court. She knows what she's getting into by signing this certain player.
When defenses send extra bodies to slow down Howard, they're actually walking right into the Fever's trap. Have you ever watched a defense completely break down in real time? That's exactly what happens when Clark has both Howard sprinting to the rim and Mitchell spotting up beyond the arc. It's like asking defenders to be in two places at once. It's impossible.
A player for the Indiana Fever who I think is going to be a perfect addition, a perfect type of player to have with a Caitlin Clark. Somebody that really can help the Fever out in a lot more ways.
This is where the genius of Indiana's offensive scheme really comes to life. Caitlin Clark isn't just making good passes, she's orchestrating a defensive nightmare with surgical precision. The moment she gets the ball in transition, she's scanning the floor at a speed defenses simply can't match. And now, she has two deadly options: Howard cutting hard to the basket or Mitchell spotting up from deep.